Hey, party people. I'm just coming on here to discuss some things that I learned whilst in high school. And I'm not talking about like academic things, I'm talking about like life lessons that I learned that I think either you can relate to, or if you're just starting high school, that you can learn from and keep in mind as you go through it. And if you can relate to any of these things, let me know so we can hear your own take on it, or even share your own experiences. So, without further ado, here are 25 things I learned in high school. Number one is the importance of emotional intelligence, which just means recognizing how others feel and understanding their perspective. In other words, being observant. And this is what people mean whenever they say read the room. They just mean be observant of what's happening amongst these people and then act on it. So then having the ability to analyze complex feelings and then articulate it in a way where it's easier to swallow is something that is a great skill because not everyone can build it to such a level where it becomes second nature. And a great way to do this is to just analyze the other person's body language, because body language can be a great indicator of what someone is feeling on the inside. Listening to their tone of voice is also something that's really helpful. But overall, being observant of others and realizing that they have their own feelings and they have their own experience, and you have your own feelings and you have your own experience. And I don't point this one out for like any particular reason, except for that it's a very valuable human skill that allows you to connect with other humans in such a unique way. Number two is the skill of, okay, so what's the next step? When you have a plan and when something goes wrong that affects the progress of that plan, don't dwell on what made that problem happen. Just be able to say, okay, this happened. This is our problem. What can we do now? Because worrying about it, worrying about what happened, and not focusing on how to fix it, that's not going to solve anything. And it's not going to solve anything any quicker. And like this applies like to life entirely. Like if you had a plan for your life and maybe it didn't go the way that you wanted it to, you can still get to like your ultimate goal, but like maybe it's not the way that you originally thought. But it's okay because you can still get there another way. It also kind of develops your critical thinking skills whenever you have a problem, you have to kind of be creative in order to fix it. So just throwing that out there. Number three is being fake versus keeping the peace. And I think this applies very well to high school in general because everyone can always think of like that one girl or one guy who was like the fakest person in the entire world and like you were kind of annoyed with them. I feel like everyone can relate to that at some point. But I guess the best way I can explain being fake is to act like you feel and or agree with one person or one thing and then completely turning around and doing the exact opposite or saying the exact opposite. And you're agreeing with that feeling or with that person just so that you can benefit from it. But that's obviously not how you really feel. Whereas keeping the peace is simply understanding your position in a situation, most likely a position that someone else disagrees with. And maybe that pisses you off, but you're still able to be civil with them. You're still able to have a conversation with them, regardless of either of y'all's position. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, but I think it's very mature for someone to say, hey, I don't agree with you. And maybe I've tried to change your mind, but I couldn't, but that's okay. There's no need for me to like fight with you over it. Like, I'm not going to waste my energy if you're strong about your position. Number four is learn to hang out with yourself. There is a distinct difference between loneliness and solitude. And what I mean by learn to hang out with yourself is learn to enjoy your solitude. So that means like sitting by yourself and having fun by yourself. Because ultimately, it is you against the world. No one else is in your position, no one else is living your life. So you need to be able to be your best friend. Being by yourself is easy to turn into a negative thing because you're not with other people and therefore it can seem like you're feeling lonely once you think about it like that. But being able to spend time by yourself in your own being is such an opportunity. It's such a blessing because it's a good time to reflect, to think about what you want, to think about, oh, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do that I can accomplish that makes me feel good? You can make a plan and you don't have to worry about what anyone else is going to say, or you don't have to worry about like what they're going to do. You don't have to worry about anybody else except for yourself. And having that time to yourself will ground you and will give you clarity. And that is your opportunity to create direction in your life. Number 5 is your success is not determined by others. When someone says successful, that's a very broad term because let's think about it for a moment. What does successful mean? Successful could mean, oh, I have created a loving family. Oh, I have many degrees. Oh my God, I have so much money. Oh my gosh, I have so many friends. Or it could mean I'm the first person to graduate college in my family. Like it means a bunch of different things when you think about it. However, the kind of default for successful is I have a job that pays a lot of money. But I think no matter what that means for you, it generally means that you worked hard for your accomplishments. And your accomplishments could be whatever in your life that you feel proud of. And your journey to being successful is going to be different than the person next to you. And let's say that person next to you has achieved the same goal that you have been wanting to achieve for your entire life. And let's say the person next to you is living the life that you aspire to have, and they achieved it this way. But you're in a different circumstance, which may mean that you achieve it a different way. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. So you don't have to follow exactly what they did in order to get the exact same goal. Just focus on your own success and how you can get there. Number 6, know where you are valued. I feel like at this point in my life, I've kind of come to the understanding that not everyone is going to like everyone. And that's okay, like genuinely. So when I say know where you are valued, I mean that if your presence is not wanted, then don't be there because you deserve to be appreciated, not underappreciated. And if someone doesn't like you and you know that, don't argue with them. Just be like, okay, like I respect your boundaries and I won't try to waste my energy on changing your mind. Don't force someone to make them like you. Number 7 is show up for those that show up. This is a phrase I used to say quite a bit whenever I was in charge of running 2 clubs. So just for a little context, for my junior and senior year of high school, I was president of the Hispanic Heritage Club and the Fashion Club. And I went to kind of a small school, so there wasn't always a bunch of people coming to these meetings. Most of the time, there would be plenty of people that would come, but there would be a few times when maybe only 5 people would show up. And as a club president, like you always want your members to show up for meetings, but sometimes they just can't, or maybe there was a miscommunication where maybe the notification didn't go through, or maybe they missed the notification. Like things happen. But I meant this quote kind of literally and both metaphorically. So even when we had those meetings with a small amount of people, I would still show up with my presentation and my papers, making sure that I provided the experience for these students that they expected. And after a while, you can tell that it's very clear that these are the people that really care. And if you know that they really care, then you should care just as much. And so I thought this was super applicable to outside of high school whenever someone shows up for you in a grand way and you're so appreciative for it, well, then maybe you can return the favor. And that could just be as simple as like a friend getting you a birthday gift. And then whenever it's their birthday, like you go and give them a gift. And I hope that you're able to remember that. Show up for those who show up. And I think it's pretty fun to say. Number 8, know your next step. I guess I kind of touched on this briefly in a previous one. But when you're in high school, people are always asking, what are you going to do for a career? Where are you going to go to college? And it puts a lot of pressure on you to feel like you have to know what's going on right now. But it's okay because you don't have to know what's going on right now. But the least you can do is figure out what you can do to get closer to this idea that you may or may not have. And keep in mind, your next step does not have to be some grand, big, giant step. It can literally just be a baby step, and that's okay. You're still moving forward, and that's what's important is that you keep moving forward. Number 9 is enjoy the process of becoming. At this point in most people's life, we're in this transitional period of, okay, it's time to grow up. Okay, we got to go do this. Okay, we got to go do this. Like, you're at the very beginning of your journey to become what you were meant to be. So take a moment to be present in that so that you can remember all of this and carry it on to your grandchildren or even tell the whole world if you get the opportunity to. Number 10 is validate yourself. For your entire life, validation is always something that makes us as human beings feel amazing, but you don't have to wait for someone else to do it for you. You are your own person and you are independent and you are able to validate yourself. You are able to tell yourself that you did a good job. You are able to tell yourself that you are actively doing a good job. So if others don't notice your accomplishments, don't wait for them to notice. You know that you just achieved something, so you are able to tell yourself that that was amazing and I'm so proud of myself. Number 11, your life is not your grades. Now, I say this with caution because obviously your grades are extremely important and they are proof of your knowledge. But I mean, don't overwork yourself to the point where you are affecting your physical health and your mental health because both of those things need to be your top priorities so that you can perform well in the classroom. So if you are overworking yourself, take a second to step back, regroup, and then come back strong and get that 100. Number 12 is don't be afraid to talk to people. If you're a teenager and you're within a group of other teenagers and no one's talking, it means that they're all too nervous to say something. And that kind of applies to the rest of society. They're probably just as nervous to talk to you as you are to talk to them. So be the one that starts the conversation and just say, hi, hello. And the little small talk conversations don't hurt anybody. And you know what's super easy to start that conversation? Maybe give them a compliment and say, hey, I really like your hair. And then follow it up with a question. Where did you get it done? Or is it natural? Whatever. And then they'll kind of get into it and be like, oh, I got it done at this place. And I was really excited about it. And blah, 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 blah. Like, once you get it going with something simple like that, it's not hard. And just being afraid of it is kind of holding you back from making those human connections. Number 13, be comfortable in your own being. I think I might have said a little bit something about this in a previous one, but I guess I wanted to touch on it more specifically. Like, don't be afraid to take up the space that you deserve. Like, if you are walking down the hallway in a school building or an office building, don't be afraid to be there. Understand that you deserve to take up the space that you command. Number 14, don't forget to be a kid. High school is essentially preparing you to become a working member of society. And so you can kind of get caught up in this, oh, I need to be able to act like an adult. I need to be an adult. And I think especially now, a lot of kids are thinking, what can I do to be more like an adult? And they're missing out on that, like, prime time I get to be a kid. Like, laugh and giggle about silly things with your friends. Go be spontaneous. But obviously, do it responsibly. Number 15, literature and history. This one might be more specific to me, but this is just what I've observed from going through history and English classes at my school. But literature holds so many stories about the life lessons that people have learned in the past and turned it into art. And once you realize that, once you learn to appreciate things like that, it can be the most beautiful thing that you ever realize. And the same thing with history. Everyone always says history repeats itself because not everyone is going to listen to the mistakes that people have made in the past and then learn from it. But if you can do that on your own and tell other people as well, then there's less likely of a chance that we'll repeat it. But that means that people actually have to open their minds and listen and understand that the meaning of life cannot be given up front. I hope that makes sense, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that you have to look beyond surface level. Number 16 is you do not have to make excuses for the people that wrong you. If people are not willing to change after you've set boundaries, then there is nothing you can do to make them respect you. And I feel like I should also throw in there that fear does not equal respect. So if you scare someone into making them respect you or act the way that you would like them to act in front of you, that is just them being scared. They're not actively respecting you. Number 17 is respect is a given unless lost. I think all people should have a collective respect for other human beings unless they have a specific interaction that makes them lose respect for that person, especially if they've given them multiple chances and they still choose not to respect you. So this is kind of the opposite idea of respect is earned, not given. But I think at least to some extent, everyone has this mutual respect for the person sitting next to him on the bus. Because you go, okay, I wouldn't want someone to do this to me and I don't want to invade their space. Let me make sure that all of my stuff is close to me and it's not bothering them. Number 18 is clear communication can solve most problems. Now, if you're having an argument with somebody and it's clear that they're not going to change their mind and you have a different position, you could do, like I said earlier, not waste your time, agree to disagree, and move on. But if it's something really important that needs to be talked about, the best way that you can move forward is take a breath, remain calm in your tone of voice. Otherwise, the other person will become defensive. And then choose your words carefully so that they are able to understand in a very clear manner what you are trying to say and come to a compromise or just come to a conclusion where you don't have to have a screaming argument about it. Number 19 is understand that everyone's brain functions differently for the life they live. Everyone starts out with their own story and they live their own experience, they live their own lives differently than you do. So, all of their experiences that they have accumulated within their life, they will use those experiences to make their decisions in the future. And those experiences may dictate which way they lean on a certain decision. And that's not a bad thing. Just respect the experiences that others have lived through and that it's okay for them to choose something different. Number 20 is you are not the main character in someone else's POV. So oftentimes when people get insecure, people will be nervous that others are judging them for whatever it is they're wearing, doing, what they look like, anything. But you have to realize that a lot of these things that you're so worried that others will judge you for, they're not even looking at. Because while you're worried that others will judge you for the stain on your shoe, someone else might be sitting somewhere thinking, I miss my dog, or I need to call my grandma, or I need to call my mom, or I need to make sure that I clean my room today, or I can't believe I saw this on the news. Everyone is busy trying to live their own life that they're not going to worry about what someone else is doing in their life. Or at least they shouldn't. So just remember that you are the main character in your own story, not someone else's story. Number 21 is ask for help, not an answer. As you go through life, there are so many people around you to support you, your family, your friends, your teachers, whoever, and they can help you weigh your choices, but they won't be able to give you an answer. You are the only person who's able to answer your own questions and choose things for yourself. So when you ask for help, you are asking others for their advice on the experience that you're currently living, but you are the only one that's living that experience. So you are the one who has to make the decision. Number 22 is it's okay to stay quiet. Now, I also say this one with caution because you have to be in the right circumstances. And so when I say this one, I specifically more mean in a social setting as opposed to a worldly setting. I hope that made sense. So I hope my further explanation on this will help it make more sense as to what I mean by certain circumstances. So if you're with a group of people and you're having fun and they start saying some things that maybe you don't agree with and you're the only person that feels that way, you can share it, and if you think that the other people will receive that well and they'll hear you out or they'll understand your perspective or your position, then great, go ahead and share it. But if you think that they may not receive it well, it's okay to keep that to yourself. And you don't have to be part of that conversation. Or if you're in a group of people where you know that you are not valued, like I was saying earlier, it's okay to keep quiet and not talk about whatever is going on in your personal life if they don't seem to care. Number 23 is get out of your bubble. And what I mean by this is a lot of kids will come into high school most likely with the understanding that different people live different ways, but they may not understand how they live and how that is different. And I'm not trying to point out that's a bad thing, but I mean, if you do not reach out and see what else is out there or see what others may have experienced, you're never going to expand your horizons or expand the knowledge that you already have. So if you look outside of the bubble that you have been living in for your entire life and you ask people, what was this like for you? Then that already puts you above a bunch of other people who will never do that. And that makes you become more aware of the world because unless you do that, you will never become aware of the world enough to where you can be a fully productive member of society. Number 24 is obtain friends that you can speak plainly to. What I mean by this is get yourself a friend group that you are not afraid to speak your mind. One where you are not afraid to just start rambling. And they will do their best to try to understand you, to try to help you and listen. Like they'll be there for you. Because if you are scared to speak in front of your friends or speak your mind, speak your heart, speak your truth, whatever, then maybe those aren't your friends. I would recheck that. And finally, number 25 is be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. I know that this is such like a simple concept that everyone has like thrown around and it's just been easy to say because it's literally two words, but it's hard, like especially in high school whenever you have so many more people in a class that you've originally grown up with. However simple of a saying it is an important one. Because if you don't be yourself, and confidently so, then you will be forced to live a life that someone else has made you live. Anyway, that's all I had for you today, and I hope that you related to at least some of it. And if you would love to add your own advice or your own tips or whatever that you learned from high school, or if you want to share a story or something, please do. I would love to hear it, and I think someone else would love to read it as well. That was a really long video, or it felt long. My back kind of hurts. And I'm sleepy. Okay, bye.